Daniel Cormier explains why he's not the biggest fan of Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier 3. DC thinks that there are better fights to welcome Max to the lightweight division. On Good Guy, Bad Guy, DC said he's asking for Dustin Poirier. That would be absolutely fantastic. But is there a better way to introduce Max Holloway into the lightweight division? Do we put him in there with Dustin for a third time? Or do we see what happens with Michael Chandler after he fights against Charles Oliveira? Or do we start to kind of look down the rankings a little bit and say, well, it would be fun to watch him fight Rafael Fiziev. It would be fun to watch him fight Benoit Saint Denis. It would be fun to watch him fight a Paddy Pimblett. I know that might not be fun for Max. That might not be great for Max, but it would also give him an opportunity to work his way back into contention without being in there with these absolute killers. Personally, I would like to see Max Holloway not stand across from Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, Alexander Volkanovski, then Ilia Topuria, something not as crazy of a challenge. Kamaru Usman talks potentially stepping in on short notice to fight at UFC 310. Usman says he's down for it. He also wishes Belal Muhammad a speedy recovery.
The UFC is going to call who they think is going to be legit, tough enough, and man enough to step in there is crazy enough to step in there on short notice and go out there and possibly shock the world. Definitely, the UFC know who to call when that situation happens. And if they do give me a call, I'm going to answer the call. We'll get a couple things straight. And if we got to do it, we got to do it. Okay, I don't shy away from any of that. I mean,
I like that.
I've done it on 7 days notice. I've done it on 6 days notice. I've done it on 8 days notice. And hey,
yeah, no, 100%.
This is only a couple weeks notice, but it is what it is. Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know how you get staph in the toe. I mean,
I tell you,
crazy situation. But I'm glad he didn't lose his toe, because that changes everything. We don't know how.
But are you really glad he didn't lose his toe, Kamaru?
Absolutely not glad he didn't lose his toe. Listen to me. At the end of the day, let's be honest. I do honestly, I do think he's a dork. That's my personal opinion. But I do think Belal he's a man. He's a man at the same time, and he's a competitor. He's a fighter, and I would never want to see that happen to anyone. I've dealt with series of injuries, and it's never fun, especially when this is our livelihood. This is how he feeds his family. So I would never ever want something like that to happen. So hope for a speedy recovery for Mr. Belal.
Chris Weidman discusses the future of his MMA career. Weidman is currently 40 years old and scheduled to fight Eric Anders at UFC 309. Speaking to MMAfighting.com, Weidman said, honestly, I'm still taking it fight by fight to see how I feel, to see how I perform. Right now in the gym, I feel good and I'm doing great in the gym, but I've got to be able to perform under the lights. So that's all just fight to fight at this point at my age and everything. We'll see how I feel and we'll just play it from there. I'm pretty much taking it fight by fight. I'll make my decision after the fight. I'm not planning on putting my gloves down or anything like that, either win or lose, but I'm planning to just not make any rush decisions. Right now, I still feel great. I'm excited. I love training. I love being in camps. I love just the whole discipline of it and how it keeps you on routine. It's really addictive. I'm super competitive, so it's just like the ultimate best thing for me to be doing. But obviously you can't do it forever. So that's why I've got to take it fight by fight and just kind of weigh the pros and cons of everything and see where we're at. With MMA, I still feel great. I still feel fine on the mats. I don't feel 40 years old. All these surgeries, I still feel great. I'm going with these younger guys and doing as good as usual, as good as I ever have. But when it comes to other sports, I feel like I slowed down. Sports specifically for MMA, my body has adjusted, and I know I've got situations to stay away from that would hurt me. I've been able to be dominant in those positions that I'm going into, but I played baseball the other day with my son. Both my kids are on these travel baseball teams. We had to see who could throw harder, so they had the gun out so they could measure the speed. And I was never the fastest thrower, but my 12-year-old son is not going to beat me on the speedometer thing. He beat me bad. He threw a 62, I threw a 51 and my shoulder hurt, and I felt terrible, like 2 pitches and I'm done. It was awful. Then we got to switch it around, and your kid got to pitch to you to see if he could strike you out, as if it was a real game. You've got the balls and everything going, and umpire, he struck me out. And I'm telling you, 10 years ago, I will say I really believe that would have not happened. I think I would throw harder, and I think I'm hitting the ball off of him. The age, definitely. I felt old doing that. But when I'm in the MMA gym, I still feel good. It's something I've got to make sure I warm up and I'm on top of, and I'm strengthening and all that stuff forever, for the rest of my life. This leg had now 14 surgeries on it. I've had 14 surgeries just on this one leg, and 30 surgeries overall throughout my body. So I've got a lot of things I've got to think about. Michael Bisping thinks with Belal Muhammad out of UFC 310, Leon Edwards should step up and face Khamzat Rakhmonov. On his YouTube channel, Bisping said for Leon Edwards, this does everything. You beat Khamzat Rakhmonov, you are the man. You step up, you are the man. You beat this man that's finishing everybody. What does that do for you? Well, then you're right back in the title conversation. In fact, you will be probably getting a rematch against Belal Muhammad, and they will probably do that in America. So there wouldn't be that crazy of a time difference, and that was what Leon pointed to. He wants to get his hands on Belal Muhammad once again. He wants to right the wrongs. He wants to prove to the world and to himself that he's the better man. But more importantly, to get back to becoming the welterweight champion of the world. Islam Makhachev is filming a documentary in the mountains of Degestan.
Так, вот сюда, чисто 5 по 5 соперникам уже.
Nickal made an appearance on Demetrius Johnson's YouTube channel. Bo previews his upcoming fight against Paul Craig at UFC 309. Go check out Bo's full interview with Mighty Mouse. Links in the description.
No, I feel great about the fight. You know, I'm really excited. I think that this is a step up in competition for me, which is what I'm looking for. Every single fight, I want a bigger challenge and a step up. And so, you know, Paul Craig's a guy that poses a lot of problems. You know, he's finished some of the best guys in the world. You know, two 205ers that have, you know, one's fought for the belt, one's ranked, you know, I think number 1 or number 2 right now. And so, you know, he's definitely a dangerous guy. And I think that for me, this has given me a chance to zoom focus on a few parts of my game. And for me, that's just all exciting. It's all development. And, you know, I think that when I look at the fight and break it down, he definitely has a big strength on the ground. And at that, so, you know, I think that I have an advantage on the feet, but I also think that it would be nice to be able to show my improvements on the ground in my jiu-jitsu game, and to be able to compete against a guy like that and you know, just challenge myself. You know, I think that, again, there's problems that he poses, and it's definitely an unusual, maybe unorthodox type of style. You don't see a lot of guys pulling guard anymore. You don't see guys throwing up triangles and throwing up arm bars, but I feel prepared, and, you know, I have a good team around me that's been helping me get ready for this fight. And so, you know, I'm looking to just go out there, put on a dominant performance as always, and, you know, really just focus. This is just a step on the path for me. You know, I don't train, I'm not training for this fight specifically. I'm really just training for my 5th, 6th, 7th title defense at the end of the day, right? We'll see. You know, for me, that's what I'm working towards. This is, you know, not to sound like I'm overlooking Paul Craig, because I'm absolutely focused on this, but my training and my preparation is to be, you know, world champion and defend that title many, many times. So that's what I really have on my mind at the end of the day.
Khamzat Chimaev is back in the gym working on his striking. So yesterday, Dricus Du Plessis mocked Sean Strickland for crying on Theo Von's podcast. Dricus posted this clip to his Instagram story. It says, "Her, my cat died. Me trying to smash." Dricus added laughing crying emojis.
I can just sit here. We can just sit here.
Nah, it's all good, dude. 6 seconds. Just process it.
Today, Dricus mocked Israel Adesanya for crying during their press conference at UFC 305. He posted this video to his Instagram story.
Touch the subject because I this. Now, people I love, so I'll fight for you forever. I swear to God. Watch this. I'm a human being. I'm a man. I'm trying to whoop you at the same time.
And it goes like this. Tell me about talking now, no.
I'm African, but I ain't no brother of yours, son.
Joking, I'll show you all the moves like Jagger. I've got them moves like Jagger. I've got them moves.
Recently, Paddy Pimblett had words for Colby Covington and called him a prick. In an interview with OLGB, Paddy said, "Yeah, if they got on me now and asked if you want to fight Conor McGregor in December, of course, I'd say yes. I'm not f***ing stupid. Or Colby as well, because I think he's a prick. He's so fake. Every UFC staff I've spoken to says he's such a nice person." I'm like, but why is he a bellend then? So like he's a proper nice person behind the camera. And then it's like, well, he's just a knobhead then because he is a fake. I don't like that, lad. I used to watch wrestling when I was a kid, but his behavior, that's proper wrestling. Nah, I'm not into it. Colby Covington did an interview with Submission Radio today and fired back at Paddy. He says if they ever fought, it would be Paddy's last fight in the octagon. Speaking to Submission Radio, Colby said, "We've been talking about this fight with Jack Della Maddalena. I think it makes a lot of sense. He's got a big win in my hometown in Miami last time he was out here, so he has a little bit of a name out here. He's undefeated, he's hungry, he's fearless, he's an exciting fighter. I think that's a fight that the fans would be intrigued with. I think it's a high-level fight. It's a top contender fight that establishes who's the next contender for the belt." On Paddy Pimblett, Colby continued he'd never fight again. It'd be the last fight that he'd ever have in the octagon. I would beat him silly from pillar to post. I'd beat him so bad, it'd be one of the worst beatings in UFC history. I don't think the Athletic Commission would be able to sanction a fight for him ever again after the damage I would do to Paddy Pimblett. The guy's an absolute joke, and it's just hilarious because last time I saw him on Fight Week, he's walking down, literally walked by me like 3 times. Every time he puts his head straight down, doesn't make any eye contact, but now he wants to talk a big game. So Paddy, if you're really about that life, come see me. Come see the King of Miami. Call Hunter Campbell. You know what? You probably don't even have the boss's number. You probably have to go through like the matchmakers or something. Don't worry, I'll put a call to the boss. We can get this fight going if you're really about that. And you know what? Most importantly, you don't got to cut weight. I know you're a big guy. You're bigger than me anyways, so come up to welterweight, eat as much food as you want, and bring your A game and pack a lunch, because it's going to be the last time you fight ever again. On a matchup against Shavkat Rakhmonov, Colby continued, "I think I could walk him down and pressure him, and he's not going to like my pressure. He doesn't do very well with southpaws. We saw how he did with the bus boy Jeff Neal. That was a very competitive fight. He hasn't really fought a top contender yet. He's fought some gatekeepers in the division, some guys right on the cusp of being in the top 10, but he's never fought a champion like me, and a guy who's just going to come at him for 5 straight rounds and just walk him down. So I think I match up well with him. He stands very tall. I don't know, I don't see anything special with him. You know, he has some good submissions, he's slick, but that's when he can control the wrestling. He's not going to control the wrestling on me. I think I could beat him pretty easily, and I think it's a favorable fight. It's a fight that I want in the future, whether he wins or loses in December. And that's going to wrap it up for the news. Thanks for watching. For daily MMA news and content, subscribe to Full Mount MMA and click the bell icon to be notified when we post videos. Here are the 3 top comments from last video. The first one's from Kenny Moggins, 6187. It says, "John still having to tape the toe from the Chael fight is wild. The gangster Chael Sonnen, undefeated, undisputed." The second one's from Doom Studios. It says, "If it's true, Chandler can't catch a break. He's been in his training camp for 2 years." And the final one's from Nate Marks. It says, "I wouldn't mind seeing Dustin and Chandler running it back again." Those were the 3 top comments from last video. If you want to be featured in the next one, all you have to do is comment down below. And if you missed yesterday's news, click the video on screen right now to get caught up.